Hello and welcome to this Migraine Masterclass. My name's Kirsty, founder of Equilibrium Health, and here's what the Masterclass is all about. I'm going to show you how you can reduce your migraines in 8 weeks or less without the need for medications, and even if everything you have tried in the past hasn't worked. So I'd like to start with what I believe is the single most important thing, because here's the reality. The single most valuable asset that you have in your life is your health. And migraine, it's like that silent illness. You're always carrying it around, but nobody sees it. It can eat away at every aspect of your life. You know, that feeling of when is the next attack going to hit me? What will I have to miss out on this time? It's where you feel you could be letting everyone down, your spouse, your kids, your friends, family. It can hold you back in your career, and you can also feel like you're watching life from the sidelines. You're always worried about those commitments that you can't keep, and it just creates such a vicious cycle that you can get into. But the important thing to understand is when you fix this one thing, all the other things fall into place, and everything else, life just starts to get easier. Now, the biggest challenges with trying to prevent migraines are it becomes like a chicken and egg, a catch-22 situation. You know, how do you get started? If you're completely starting from scratch, you know, if you have a migraine right now and all you want to do is tuck yourself away in bed, how do you really focus on your health when you're feeling completely rubbish? And how are you going to find the time and the energy when you don't have a ton of time or energy or even the money to invest in yourself? And how are you going to do that work that you need to do, make those lifestyle adjustments or changes, and what do you need to do? Which ones do you need to make? If any of that rings true for you, then you're in the right place. And if you're going through this right now, I can completely understand what that feels like. It wasn't that long ago that I was in exactly the same situation myself. And I remember those sleepless nights when I was trying to figure out, as a single mum with young kids at primary school, how was I going to look after my kids if I had a migraine? How was I going to get them to school or pick them up after school, get them to their clubs? How was I going to feed them, shop, cook, keep the house tidy? And it was the thing that held me back also. It prevented me from making commitments with friends. I would lie awake and worry about it at night. And then that became almost a self-perpetuating cycle of stress and worry about migraines. And I just didn't feel that I was able to do anything to stop it. The doctors couldn't help me. And I just didn't know what to do. And I lost a lot of time, weeks, months, sort of thinking, how am I going to break this cycle? So I do get exactly how that feels. But I want to talk a little bit about what I'm going to cover today in today's presentation, and why I want you to stick around and give me your time today, because I'm going to show you the 7-part framework that I now use with my clients to help them reduce their migraines. And I've seen some incredible stories in as quick as a week or two, and it is definitely under 8 weeks. I've seen them reduce their migraines by 50% or more and go on to completely eliminate them. But I'm also going to show you the 5 biggest mistakes that I come across. And then I'm going to share with you a case study of, one of my clients who went from having 3 migraines a week to now she's completely migraine free. And also, when you stick around to the end, I do have a special bonus gift that I want to tell you about that's worth well over £250. With that being said, let's dive in. But before we get into all that, I want to talk a little bit first about why pay attention. If you haven't met me yet, I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I also use tools from energy medicine as well. I've been a bioresonance practitioner for the last 12 years, and I've done over 3,500 of my own health screenings. I worked with over 1,000 autism children. I've focused a lot on gut and brain health, and it's from that information, it's from working with all those clients that I've built up this knowledge, as well as what's out there in the research. And tools of functional medicine, energy medicine tools, technologies, practices. They're fantastic, they're invaluable. And then alongside that, one of my hobbies was meditation and mindfulness, and I'm a silver graduate from 10 years ago. And all these things have sort of dropped together in a big jigsaw puzzle for me when it comes to helping people with migraines. Earlier, I mentioned I was going to cover a case study, and I want to give you a sneak peek into the results of that and what is possible, and so that you can understand what I'm going to go through today, because this started with me solving my own migraines. I was having 2 or 3 a month. It started in my early teens, went on all the way through my life, but it was when I hit 40 and I was a single mum with kids. I had an absolute need to solve this problem. I couldn't afford 2 or 3 days loss per month. And although I solved the problem for myself, the next thing was suddenly my son was getting migraines. And his were completely different to mine, but more worrying, because when he got a migraine, he would lose his eyesight. Now, that's very worrying when you can't see for 2 or 3 weeks, and that fear of, oh my goodness, is this permanent? Is he going to be able to see again? So again, that motivation to get to the root cause of what was going on. But the person I really want to talk about today is a lady called Jan, because she was struggling with 2 or 3 migraines per week. And she came to me after spending years trying to get rid of migraines. She had visited so many practitioners, had done so many therapies, you name it, she'd tried it. And when she came to me, she really did think she'd exhausted all of her options. She was completely fed up of life. She just couldn't see beyond the week. And her lifestyle was just absolutely awful. But a friend had recommended me to her, and she thought, well, I've got nothing to lose, I'll give it a last chance. And her first appointment was with me in January 2019. This is the email I received from her on the 5th of March. Things are much more positive here, thankfully. Have only had about 3 headaches and they haven't ended in a migraine. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So notice the time. She came to me at the end of January, and this was the email on the 5th of March. So I'm going to cover exactly how we made that happen. And if you're wondering the reason why more people don't get the results like she did, it's because of the mistakes I see. I see 5 big mistakes: asking the wrong question, blaming the genes, covering the pain instead of doing the work to recover the brain, not getting to the root cause, and then finally adopting a growth mindset. So let me just run through those in a little bit more detail. So migraine mistake number 1, asking the wrong question. You see, migraine is just the name that is given to us, to people who have a set of symptoms, but it's not the cause. And we get so hung up on the name, we think, oh, I know what's wrong with you. You have depression, that's why you have those symptoms. Or you have rheumatoid arthritis, that's why your joints hurt. But that's just the name of the symptoms, or the blood tests, or what other diagnostic tests that you've used. It's not the cause. So migraine is not a painkiller deficiency. It's not a lack of paracetamol or ibuprofen, in the same way that depression isn't a Prozac deficiency. But this is really what conventional medicine is all about these days. So they just talk about what it is. They don't talk about why. It's very much what is it, what is wrong, what's my diagnosis. And it's become known as a pill for all ills. And that's great in some situations like acute care. But when it comes to things which are a little bit more chronic or a little bit long term, what medicine should I take, or what prescription do I need, it just doesn't really help. So people are asking the wrong question. And what you need to be asking is why? Why is this happening? Why is my head doing this? Why am I feeling like this? What is it my brain is trying to tell me? And how do I stop it? What does my body need from me? So migraine mistake number 2, I call this blaming the genes. It's a foregone conclusion. I can't do anything about it because it's genetics. It's in the genes. My dad, mum, sibling, family member always get them. That was me. My dad suffered from migraines. And here's the thing. You're right. You can't fight your genetic inheritance, but it's inherited. It does not mean it's inevitable. There is no such thing as the chronic disease gene. The genes are not your fate. Genes are stimulated by and respond to what is going on around us and the kinds of behaviour we practice. If we can change our environment and our behaviour, then we change the way our genes get stimulated and then the way they respond. And since it's the genes that regulate or direct all our biological functions, that can also change the pattern of our health. So genes are not your fate. And this is an analogy that I like to use. It's how it was explained to me. So think of genetics, think of the genetics gun. So it's our genes, it's our genetics which load the gun, but it's actually the epigenetics, which is the genetic expression, which pulls the trigger. And then the migraine, that's the smoking gun, that's the symptoms. So although in the research, scientists currently estimate there's well over 40 migraine-making genes, what is really important is how are they expressing. And then there's what's known as the Super 7 genes, and they play a part in turning our brains into what I call the migraine-making facility factory. But the good news is these are modifiable genes. We can change how these genes express through our lifestyle choices. So migraine mistake number 3. This is covering the pain instead of recovering the brain. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but it's what I call the band-aid approach, a pill for all ills. This stems from germ theory, a drug for a bug. But we know that migraine isn't a drug deficiency. And the medications that we take when we've got a migraine tend to be painkillers, and they just don't get to that underlying cause, and they don't prevent them. It's like a plaster approach. The second thing to be concerned about with medications is something called rebound. Because if you're taking something to treat your headache more than 2 days a week, then it will actually start to cause headaches for you. In this case, the medication is actually part of the problem. It's causing you more headaches because it results in your body upregulating your pain receptors. And then thirdly, another consequence is that medications can cause side effects. They can make you feel a bit sleepy, loopy, drowsy, all sorts of things that you don't want. And some of these meds have big, long lists of side effects on them. So I want you to think of the meds as putting a band-aid on the part of your brain which is hurting. It isn't working right. But really what we need to be doing is trying to figure out is what should we be doing? What is our brain trying to tell us with these frequent migraines? So mistake number 4 is not getting to the root cause. Treating the symptoms, not the root cause. So if a tree gets sick or your plant leaves start to droop, you don't treat the leaves. You look at the roots, the soil, the terrain that they're growing in. And the important thing here is there is no single or one treatment for migraines. And you really have to change your mindset or thinking around this. I see so many people in things like Facebook groups talking about how much time and effort they're putting into going back to their GP and changing their medication and the dosage. And really, I see a lot of people also looking for a miracle treatment, but instead look for the root cause. Use a symptomatic procedure. And these are the fundamentals of functional medicine. Treatment is not disease specific, but rather we call it patient specific. And this means that 2 people suffering with migraines may have totally different treatments and they can both dramatically improve. So I hope this is starting to make sense. And then migraine mistake number 4. One condition has many, many different causes. And again, functional medicine determines how and why an illness occurs. And it helps people restore their health by addressing the root cause of the disease for each individual. You are unique. No one therapy or supplement or medicine is going to work for every single person. And it's also why, your best friend or your partner or your family member will say, hey, try this, it worked for me, and it doesn't work for you. And that's when, the next best thing just becomes the last big disappointment. So you may have come to me through my migraine quiz. So over the years, what I've discovered is that there are many different reasons why people are getting migraines. But at a very top level, I was able to see that there were these 4 main types emerging: S, H, E, and P. But within each type, there were still other layers within that. So S was the stress type. So if you think of all the different reasons that somebody may be stressed, it could be work stress, it could be home life, because they've got a deadline coming up, or they're, a big lifestyle event like moving house or marriage. But whatever the cause of the stress, it's the autonomic nervous system which is being triggered, and we trigger that fight or flight mechanism, which is great if we're running from a tiger or, we've got to fight a dinosaur. But in this modern day, it's really these stress mechanisms haven't adapted to a modern way of living. H is hormonal, and in particular, women pass through so many different life stages. We've got puberty, pregnancy, childbirth, perimenopause, and menopause, and all those are big hormonal shifts for the body. So again, there's a lot of potential for chemical imbalances there. E is what I call environmental. So if it's the height of summer and you're struggling with allergies, if you're starting to notice that there's certain foods that you've become sensitive to, and there's a big difference between allergies, sensitivities, or intolerances. You might live in a city and be subject to toxic fumes. You might be sensitive to some harmful chemicals on your skin, or the EMFs if you have too much Wi-Fi. You might have been bitten or stung by something, have some minor infection, dental infection. So these are what are classed as all the environmental things. And then there's the physical. So think of misalignments, think of injuries, knocks, bumps, falls, see a lot of whiplash, car accidents, different structural changes. If you injure one foot, what does it do to the other leg? Sometimes it's a defect. So especially the head, the neck, the spine, we can have the TMJ joint out of balance, teeth grinding at night. There might be some dentistry problems. All these can appear under the physical category. Now, the thing about these 4 main types is none of them are mutually exclusive. So if you got a result from the migraine result and think, that's not what I was expecting, you actually could have all 4, or 2 or more. They are not mutually exclusive. So you could be struggling with work overload stress, you could have an old sports injury, you could be approaching the menopause, and you could also be living in a busy road. Or you could be about to move house, you could have hurt your back packing the boxes, and while the house is in uproar, you could be living on junk food while your kitchen's all packed up. Now, I had my first migraine, and when I look back at my health history, I'd been bitten by a dog, I'd been in hospital with concussion, I'd accidentally been hit in the face with a cricket bat when I was 12 years old, and age 12, I was around puberty, and that was my first migraine attack, and then they went on until, I was in my 40s. And then I'll share more about this in the case study that I'm going to cover, but for the 5th mistake, it's about adopting a growth mindset. And you might be thinking, well, what do I mean by this? Well, consider this for a minute. We are not born with migraines. And when I was looking into the research on this, 10% of children between the ages of 5 to 15 do get migraines. The youngest migraine I found was reported in an 18-month-old. So something happens at a point in time So if you think back to when you can remember having your first migraine, can you remember when it was? So this brings me on to the latest developments in neuroscience. Have you heard of Hebb's axiom? You might be familiar with the following quote: "Neurons that fire together wire together." This is modern day neuroscience. You might have heard the term neuroplasticity, or it's also known as neural plasticity or brain plasticity. And this is the ability of the neural networks in the brain to change through growth and reorganization. It's when the brain is rewired to function in some way that differs from how it previously functioned. So, the ability of the brain to form, reorganize these synaptic connections, especially in response to learning or experience or following an injury. And it's the neuroplasticity which offers real hope to everyone who has some sort of brain disorder, from stroke victims to dyslexics, and yes, people suffering with migraines. So if we can come onto the planet and somewhere along the way learn to have migraines, then the theory has to hold that we can also learn how to not have them. We can change the neural pathways. We can rewire the neural pathways to that migraine making machine. So I'd like to pull all this together and just explain what I call the migraine threshold concept. And again, this concept has come to me, through all the work that I've done with bioresonance and health screenings and all my clients over the years. So what I would like to do now is explain the migraine threshold concept. And the theory is that we all have a migraine threshold. And this is shown by this grey dotted line here. This is the migraine threshold. And anyone who gets a migraine has their own unique threshold, which is specific to them. So above that threshold, we get migraines. And below the threshold, we don't. But we also have this area here, which is the migraine risk area. And it's in this area where we can really take notice and start to get the signals to start managing our migraines. So the scenario I've put in here is, let's take, for example, this is a 45-year-old woman. She's got a previous history here from whiplash, from an old horse riding accident. She's also got a history of endometriosis. In the winter, she's prone to colds and flus, and in the summer, she does suffer with some allergies. She's also got quite a high profile job, but taking into consideration all those factors, if these are the base genes here, this is how they're expressing, and she's under the migraine threshold. Now let's just take a scenario here where she's managing her old injury, or it doesn't really bother her much, but let's say she suffers on a monthly basis with her periods. Sometimes the allergies can be triggered, but the job starts to get a little bit more stressful. There's a deadline that she's got to hit. So you can see that the stress levels here are pushing her into that migraine risk zone. So if we just take that example a little bit further, say she has a little bump or a fall or a knock at home and it triggers that old injury, so it starts to be a little bit more of a problem for her. Again, during a similar time of the month where the hormones are a little bit more responsive or reactive, and she's been on a little bit of a bad diet, or her nutrition has gotten a little bit out of the window, and again, the job's super stressful. So when we put that into the equation, now she's hit her migraine. She's gone above a migraine threshold, and she's very likely to have a migraine. So I want to show you another example here that you don't have to have all these migraine types playing a part. Take somebody who's got real low physical problems in their history, so no accidents or no injuries, but hormonally they really do struggle. They've had a history of polyps. So you can see that that starts to be a big player. Environmentally, they are very susceptible to the environment, what's going on, particularly in the winter, also in the summer. But the stress levels then are putting them into the migraine zone. So what you would have to do with this client is have a look at desensitizing them so they're less responsive to their environment, also looking at how that's playing a part with the hormones so we can get those back into balance. Let's take another scenario here. Again, somebody who doesn't really have a history of any physical aspects hormonally. They're absolutely fine, but they really are triggered by their environment. They live in a busy city, in a busy road. Their diet is all over the place, living on junk food, and again, really suffer with stress, lifestyle stress, living in an environment that they're not enjoying. So they're in the migraine zone. And then you can also take a scenario where somebody's unfortunately had, quite a bad accident previously in their life. And whilst they might not be suffering with hormones, their environment might not be affecting them. They've got a very healthy diet. But you can see how, even with a low stress level, they are still in the migraine risk area, and it wouldn't take much to pop them over into that migraine area. So there's all these different scenarios, and why I think the migraine types start to play a point, take importance, because when you understand which is your most prevalent migraine type, you can start to look in that area what you can do. So it might be that we have to look at the old injuries. Have they fully repaired themselves? If not, what do we need to do? Do they keep reoccurring? Do they keep getting triggered? Environmentally, there's lots of work we can do here, and there's also lots of work we can do on managing a stressful lifestyle. So I hope you find that useful. So I like to explain to people that migraines are a threshold disorder, and us migraine sufferers, we can be living in that amber zone. And then depending on what migraine types are playing out for us, we have triggers within those migraine zones, and that pushes us up over our threshold into that red zone. Bang, we've got a migraine. So the question I have for you is, what could your life look like if you identified your migraine types and the triggers within those types that were pushing you into the migraine zone? Now, earlier I showed you a case study and I introduced you to Jan. And you might be wondering, well, how did you get those results for Jan? So I want to take a sneak peek inside and show you how we made those. And it comes down to these 7 things. You see, when Jan came to me, remember mistake number 1? She wasn't asking, why do I get migraines, or what can I do about them? She was making mistake number 2. She knew there was family history. Her mindset was under the assumption they ran in the family, and she didn't realise that her genes were not her destiny. But she did also acknowledge that her migraines had been a lot worse since her car accident. And then she was making mistake number 3. She was covering the pain. She was actually coming to me for a treatment I do called scalar pain relief. So she wasn't considering the fact that she could stop them from happening. She was just looking at how she could be free from the pain, or she was struggling so much with the pain, this 2 or 3 times a week. So she didn't really look at what she could do to stop them. She was looking at how she could mask the symptoms. And then she was making mistake number 4. She wasn't aware migraines could be prevented because she wasn't looking at what was the root cause of them. And really, mistake number 5, she just hadn't pieced it all together. And I explained to her it's like a jigsaw of how a migraine started, why she was having different types of migraines. She didn't know about neuroplasticity. She wasn't aware that her body had learnt how to produce migraines and develop its own migraine-making factory. And she didn't know that there were some simple neuromodulation techniques now that you can do yourself. You can just apply them at home. So she also didn't know that some of her lifestyle choices, the epigenetics, the foods she ate, the quality of her sleep, the previous injuries and the stress with her job, she just didn't understand how they were contributing to her migraines. And what I'm explaining here is what's become my 7-step framework that I now use with my clients to eliminate their migraines. And it looks like this. These are the stages. Some of them are very logical and you have to do in sequence. However, Ultimately, it's like a recipe for a cake, and you do need all parts. But what I found is that as I start taking my clients through this process, they start to see the changes. Sometimes they can be instant, sometimes there's a few lifestyle changes they need to make, but the effect is accumulative, and as more ingredients are added to the recipe. So here's the steps. Step 1, it's the reset. We do a reset. We identify which of those Super 7 genes are expressing. And then depending on which ones they are, we look at what is needed to reset the genes. Step 2, I call rewire. This is where we start to look at the mindset. We start to look at the neuroplasticity of the brain. We look at the programming of the mind. Where did you first learn about migraines? How did you know that was actually a thing? And then we look at, when did things start firing together? When did they wire together? Step 3 is the remove stage. And this is where we have to look at those environmental factors at play. Are you responding to toxins? Do you have allergies? Are you affected by different foods? Have you had any recent infections? And then step 4, replace. If your body's not working properly, then it's highly likely there's some nutritional deficiencies. Well, what are they? How do we identify them? Because that's what's preventing the body chemistry, the biochemistry from running. And then we look at re-inoculate. What's happening in the microbiome? This is very, very new science, but it's the microbiome which does such a lot of work in our body, which helps us fight infections, which helps us metabolize foods. So we look at where there may be pathogens or infections. Where is the microbiome being compromised? Then the next step 6, repair. What about the physical, the physiology of the body? That's creating a loading. Is the gut integrity there? Have we got old injuries which keep reappearing? How are we misaligned in some way as a result of something that's happened to us from an accident or a fall or a sports injury? And then step 7 is the rebalance. That's the lifestyle factors. So these are the things standing in the way of our natural healing ability. So it could be sleep patterns, it could be managing stress. But in every case, you have to remember that you are unique. And the process, although the 7-step process is useful for everybody, what you have to do within that process is going to be completely unique to you. And who knows whether you have to do the work at all stages, or you might even nail it at week 1. But as you travel through the framework and as you start to learn, you start to understand how to stay in that green zone. You start to recognise when you're stepping into the amber warning zone. You start to feel differently. I became very aware of, I'm in green, this is great. I'm in the amber zone, I'm at risk. So although I talk about the fact that I haven't had a migraine since 2017, there are times when I think, I think I'm stepping in the amber zone. I need to take action here now, but it's very proactive. And once you know this stuff, you can't unknow it. You can't unknow what you now know. You can't unhear what you've heard. So both consciously and subconsciously, your brain is going to work with you, and it's going to move you away from that pain. Once you realise what is causing that pain, what's triggering that pain, it's one of the rules of the mind. It wants to move you towards pleasure. So then what happens is you start to see less migraines. And let me clarify what I mean by less migraines. Less often. So less frequency. You don't get them so often. Less duration. They don't last as long. They're less painful. There's less of that prodrome, that initial, starting to feel a little bit woozy. I used to call them my dropsy days, and then, wow, the next day I'd have a migraine. Less recovery time. So that's why I call it Migraineless. We start to see less of them. And that's it. That's the process. That's the blueprint that I use. Now, with that being said, you may have questions. How do you do this and this and this? And what about that? And what about this? And what about this? Okay, so you've got 2 options. So consider this. You can take the information I've been giving you and you can run with it on your own and piece it together, learn what to do. Or if you're interested in working together, you can get the benefit of my experience. So I can help you shortcut that process, because this took years and years of research. This took years and years of experience. So if you're interested in working together, I can coach you through this process and shortcut it for you if you're interested in that option. So if you are, then what I'd like to do now is talk about what's involved in that process, because here's what we're going to cover together. Okay, so where we've got to is I've given you the blueprint. You can go away and implement it on your own, or if you would like my help, we can work together. And if you're interested in working together, I want to take a moment now to talk a little bit more about everything we're going to cover here. So here's what you're going to get access to. I'd like to present to you my new online course, Migraineless Living. And when you purchase this, you get lifetime access to the 7-step Migraineless Living framework. And I'm going to personally teach this a module per week over the course of 7 weeks. And each week I'm going to do a 2-hour training session live on a Tuesday. So you have the option to join me live, or if you can't make it at the time, you can access a recording of the training at a later date. But I encourage you to join me live, because on the live session, I'm going to introduce all the resources I want you to use for that week, and I'm going to show you how to use them, and we'll actually do some of them live on the call. So this is very much do it with you, rather than just sit and listen and something you've got to go away and do. So yeah, wherever we can get the opportunity to do it on the call, we actually will do. Initially, there'll be some pre-course training, and this is what I call setting you up for success. And that starts next Tuesday. During the 7 weeks, we're going to go through all the 7 steps: the reset the genes, rewire the mindset, remove the toxins, replace the nutrients, re-inoculate the microbiome, repairing the physiology, and rebalancing the lifestyle factors. Every week you will get access to a physical workbook, and this will help you chart your journey, see where you are on it. And then the resources that I'm going to include to help you along the way there'll be the modular trainings, there'll be some health and lifestyle questionnaires, there'll be checklists, action points, top tips, worksheets, exercises, cheat sheets. If you need them, we'll go into supplements and supply recommendations, nutrition plans, recipe lists, shopping lists. And then on a Friday, there'll be a Facebook community group, so you can ask questions all during the week at any time. But if you specifically want them answered on a Friday, we've got that midnight Thursday deadline. And then after the 7 weeks, I'm going to do what's called a consolidation week. So if you've got anything to catch up on, or if there's something that you've tried to progress and maybe didn't quite get it the first time round, or you need some extra help with it, that's what that week 8 consolidation week is for, to bring everybody back up to the same level. And it's also for me, I've mentioned it's the first time I'm running this. If there's something I feel I haven't covered in enough depth, if I feel that a lot of the same questions are being asked, then we might introduce some, extra bonus training just to help you through those. And really, probably so much more that I haven't gone into. That's the program. That's the 7 weeks, 8 weeks with the bonus. But in addition to that, I want to really, really set you up for success. So I have included some free bonuses with this. So again, before I go into the price, let's just talk about the free bonuses that you're going to get access to when you sign up. You see, for some of you might be thinking, well, how am I going to do this, Kirsty? I've got a migraine. The first thing I did was bonus 1. You've got a migraine, don't worry. I'm going to give you access to the headache technique. And this is just something absolutely amazing. Now, I want to clarify again what we're trying to do here. We are not trying the plaster approach. I've got a headache, let's get out of it as quick as possible until the next one. What we're going to do during this 8 weeks is we're going to get to the root cause, your own personal root cause, so you can start making those changes. However, In the short term, you may still be getting migraines, and the headache technique is something that you can plug your earphones into, listen, and once you've gone through the initial programming, it will help you get out of that migraine so much quicker. It is a plaster approach, but it's a phenomenal plaster approach. So until you get to the root cause, and until I discovered my root cause, this was my number one go-to tool in my migraine-free toolkit. And this is something that I value at £97, and you're going to get it for free. So the second bonus is, do you know where your migraines started or why you get them? Again, this is another life-changing hypnosis that really is going to unlock for you the history of your headaches or your migraines, because I do believe that you have to understand the problem to be able to really overcome it. So in this bonus, I'm going to take you through a regression audio, and this audio is going to help you uncover your health history and the situations in which you acquired your migraines. And then part 2 of that is the rewiring audio. So again, in this audio, it's going to help you install those new empowering beliefs. And really what I do in this rewiring audio is we're looking to convince the mind to shut down that migraine making factory. Again, if I was to do this one-to-one with you, I charge $497 for this, but you're going to get it for free. So bonus 3 is, I appreciate that when you're struggling with migraines, there's that overwhelm, and you're worried about the time for that. And sometimes we do need to take a step back and concentrate on one single thing. So although I'm going to go through 7 modules, what I found in practice is you might not need module 1, but you might need module 3, 4, 5, or you might only need module 7, or you might nail it after module 2. But there will be one thing which, if we follow Pareto rule, is the single biggest thing that you can do to move forward with your health. And with that, you might need some extra help in that one area. So what I've included here, I've got 5 little mini habit coaching programs, which means you can pick, once you've identified what that single one thing is, you can really laser focus in on that and take small daily steps towards making that change. And I've got them for nutrition, I've got them for hydration, for sleep, for stress, and also for the bulletproof gut for those people who've got a compromised gut tract. So individually, they're also £97. I'm going to include them for free. And then bonus 4, again, when you're stressed out, you might be thinking, oh gosh, this is another thing on my never-ending list. So I've included my Vagus Nerve 101. This is a stimulation technique. It's, again, life-changing manual neuromodulation stress busting technique. And again, this is something that you don't have to remember to carry with you. It's something, once you know, you don't unknow it, but it's something that you can apply if you start to feel a migraine coming on. And again, value on its own, £97. And then finally, bonus 5, because before I got to the root cause of my migraines, I did used to track them, and I used to carry around in my handbag and in my car my own little personal migraine relief toolkit. So I've included that as well. It's just my list of the things which I think are absolute essential if you're a migraine sufferer. And hopefully by the end of the course, you'll be able to throw it away and you won't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. Value of that alone with my top 10 recommendations for tracking, £47. So again, I've included these bonuses, total over £1,200, because I really want you to be up for doing this and be excited about doing this, so that you're a real hell yes motivated to work with. If I was to work with you one-on-one to take you through this program, from start to finish, we would do it over a 3-month period. And you would be looking at about £10,000 for the cost of the programme, which is also your consultation time, the coaching, the rapid therapy session times. That would be a fair price for the programme. But that's, picking and choosing which parts you need and not necessarily going through all of them. And then in addition to that, if you were going to do the biomedical testing or the screening, you can look at half as that much again. And I know a lot of practitioners insist on that. So I appreciate fully that a 15K program just isn't accessible for everyone. So what I want you to think about here is, what are your migraines costing you? You know, what is it worth to you to have less migraines and to have more time available for you and your life, so you can start living your life? Because what I'm going to show you in the program is the fundamentals of health screening, so that you don't have to rely on that additional cost for the biomedical testing. Yes, that is a nice extra, but I've seen a lot of people who've come to me and they've done test after test after test after protocol after screening after screening, and they've never actually got down to the what bit do they need to do, and they've shelled out all this money on testing and practitioners. So what I'm going to show you here is how, through your own health history and with the resources I'm going to teach you, how you can actually then hold back your money, keep your money, so that you can put it into, giving yourself a good diet. You may want to add some supplements. You might need to go and get a gym membership. You might need to do some work on some of the physical parts which are contributing. So that's where I want you to be putting your money once you've got the knowledge and the information. That doesn't mean you can't go on and do biomedical testing, genetic testing, etc. And there's definitely some supplements that I do highly recommend for migraines. There's some real key deficiencies, but I want you to look at these in an informed way, because I don't want people to be just throwing mud at the blanket and hoping something sticks. Okay, so 10 to 15k might be realistic one-to-one, but I don't want you to pay 15k or 10k or even 5k. I just don't think that's realistic. The full price of this program, once it's completed and all the work manuals etc. are fully completed, is £2,500. However, because you are listening to this today, and if you're watching this video right now, then you were one of my early adopters who were one of the first 500 people who took the migraine quiz when it was very first released. And if you read your report, then I did make you a promise of an 80% discount, and I want to honour that. So with that 80% discount that I promised, you can sign up to this program today for one payment of £500. Now, if that surprises you and that's a lot cheaper than you thought it was going to be, believe me, I'm sort of shaking as I say it. I have a very good reason for doing this, and here's the reason. This, truthfully, is a brand new program, because I've spent so much time working one-to-one with people. I just cannot repeat myself anymore, impacting so few people. I want to be able to work with more people. I want to help more people prevent their migraines. And the only way I can do that is if I start working with groups of people who, to make it more accessible, to make it more affordable. So the reason I'm offering a discount like this is because I need to test the process. I'm going to be developing and tweaking this as we go. I'm going to be delivering the content live, and the reason for the Q&A is so that I can come back and check in with you and make sure you've got it and make sure I've delivered it in enough detail that you can know what you need to know and go and take the action you need to take. But I also know that, if you get so much value from this, then you're going to feel compelled to want to share with others. Oh, go and see Kirsty, work with Kirsty, etc., or give me a testimonial. So I am asking for a little bit of quid pro quo here, which means I would love you to take advantage of this very, very special deal. And I know that the people who are invested are the people who get the results. However, it is a very special deal, and you're not going to see this price again. It is only for those initial 500 people who went out and took my migraine quiz initially. So what I'm going to ask is, if you have success with this, that you'd be happy to share your experience. So if that's okay with you, would you be willing to give me a testimonial in exchange for this massive discount? Through your Q&As and your feedback, I'll get the information I need to make it better for more people. So if that's not something that sits with you, that's absolutely fine. This program will be available at a later date, and you can reach out to our customer service desk because I'm building the list now for the full price program. But if you would like to take advantage of this massive discount and are happy to do that on the basis that I can come back to you for a testimonial, then absolutely great. You're going to get an absolutely amazing program and get the opportunity to work with me live and get your Q&As done live as well, because I absolutely know how much it means to get rid of those migraines. I have the benefit of that reality, and I want it for other people as well. So I'm going to share everything that I've learned over the last 12 years, which I've learned really through being a practitioner, serving, and completing over 3,500 health screenings. That's what you're getting in this program. Now there is a catch, and here's the catch. So if you want to take advantage of this offer, you do have to act here right now before Sunday. And the reason is our first kickoff call is next Monday. Okay, so a lot of people will say, well, is there a guarantee? Can you guarantee me success? And I know a lot of online courses do offer a guarantee, but with this program, there is no guarantee. So if you're not already feeling the value of what you're going to get in this program, or the value of working with someone like myself who has these 12 years experience of working with others, or if the fact that there isn't a guarantee is scaring you off, then there's your answer. That just tells you that this isn't the right opportunity for you right now. And the reason that there is no guarantee is I can't get my time back. So I'm putting my heart and soul into this to develop the workbooks, the questionnaires, etc., and give my time during the training so that you can get a great outcome. And once that time's gone, I don't get it back. But also the reason is, and this is the bigger reason, this isn't a quick pill. This is not a magic fix or the next best thing, etc., etc. This is going to guide you through a process to help you understand what you need to do on a very personal level. You will have to then go away and do that if you want to get the results you want to achieve. So if you don't do the work, you're not going to get that outcome for yourself. And I can't force you to do that. I can give you the tools. I can give you, for example, if we do a questionnaire and you discover that there are foods that you are sensitive to, and I say to you, well, you might need to cut out gluten, and you don't do that, you're not going to get the result. So it's really, really important that you understand the part that you have to play. Okay, I can teach you the latest information, I can teach you the latest science, I can teach you what works, but you're the person who has to take the action. So that's why there's no guarantees. And if you're not comfortable with that, then that just means that it's just not the right program for you. But if it is resonating with you, then I've posted the link here. So if you go to this link before next Sunday evening, you will get that £500 price lock-in. Okay, and then there's one more thing which I just want to add in. Right at the beginning, you might remember I mentioned that there's a £250 gift if you stay till the end. So this is the gift, and it's really, when you take action right now, right here today, I'm going to release a certain number of appointments for a bioresonance health screening with me. And the reason I'm doing this is, over the years, I've found bioresonance to be the secret sauce that just goes above and beyond all the questionnaires, all the biomedical testing, all the health screening, etc. Because it gives me a picture of how your energetic health status is as of today, right now. So it's telling me through the bioenergetics what's needed right here, right now. And it's a fabulous way to shortcut your success. And it means that, as we go through these exercises, week 1 through to week 7, you may not have to do week 2 or week 3, but the only way to do that is through the bioenergetic screening. But I have very limited availability for this. At the minute, with my health practice, I can only offer 2 of these screenings per week. So it's a first come, first served opportunity. But it's very simple. You don't need to be there in person. If you send me your date of birth and your photo, I will complete the screen and then I will send you the feedback that you can watch by video. So it's a super opportunity to help crystallize everything that I'm going through, and it's what's helped me make this a very comprehensive score, but it is very limited, only 2 places per week for the 8 weeks. So if you're interested in doing that, you really need to do that as soon as you hear this webinar, so that you take action straight away. And I'm doing this because I love working with the action takers. I love working with the people who are prepared to say, yeah, I'm up for this, Kirsty, let's get on with it. They make the best clients. I enjoy working with those type of people the most because they always get the best results, because they take the advice and they implement it. And those are the people that I'm really looking to help. Those are the people that I really want to work with. So those are the people that I love to reward. So for those early adopters, do take advantage of that fast action deal. Once they're gone, and it is really going to be limited to 2 openings a week during the full 8 weeks. So very limited sessions there. Okay, so just to remind you of everything in the program and what you need to do if you want to sign up before end of play on Sunday to take advantage of that one-time price of £500. We start with our first live kickoff call on the Tuesday. So you are going to get lifetime access to my 7-step Migraineless living framework. And I'm going to personally teach that to you, a module per week over the course of the 7 weeks. So the reset the genes, the rewire the mindset, the removing the toxins, the replacing the nutrients, the re-inoculate the microbiome, repairing the physiology, rebalancing the lifestyle factors. And then every week we'll support that with workbooks and charts and questionnaires and checklists and tip sheets, cheat sheets. Oof, gosh, that's difficult to say. Give you advice on the supplements, the recommendations, the retailers, who to use, who not, all the nutrition plans that you could possibly need. That includes recipes, it includes shopping lists. The resources are phenomenal. And then on each Friday, we'll do the Q&A coaching course. You'll get the opportunity to ask all your questions once the training's been delivered. And I'll go live on a Friday and we'll answer all those questions. And we'll also do on a Friday that rapid rewire session. And then during the week, for any other time, I'm going to make a Facebook community where you can ask your questions and get that extra support. And then week 8 will be the consolidation week. So if you need that catch up, if you need that extra little bit of help, or if we need to cover anything in a little bit more depth, that's what we're going to be covering. And then the bonuses. So we've got bonus 1, the headache technique with the Zen 12 technology. We've got bonus 2, the regression audio, helping you understand where the migraines came from and the rewiring. We've got bonus 3, the 5 mini habits coaching programs. Bonus 4, the vagus nerve 101. And then bonus 5, my little migraine relief toolkit. Plus the fast action bonus for anybody who wants to take advantage of those 2 sessions a week and is prepared to act quickly to get those locked in. So here's the link that you can go to. It'll take you straight to the cart and the different payment ways you can pay. There is no split payment option because it is just one-time price of £500. So I'll leave that up for you to look at, and I'm just going to answer here some of the most frequently asked questions that I get. Okay, so question 1, how does a program work exactly? Okay, so the program is broken down into modules. So those 7 steps that I've kept talking about, we're going to take 1 per week, and I'm going to do everything in bite-sized pieces. So on the Tuesday, I will take you through the training and introduce you to all the resources for that week, with a view to then you working through those prior to the next session the following week. But then on the Friday, you'll get that Q&A opportunity. So for any questions you have, put them in the group and we'll pick them up and discuss them on a Friday. So we're really trying to set you up with everything that you need to be successful. And next question, who is this training suitable for? So first of all, you need to be over 18. I'm sorry, I can't work with anybody under 18 at the minute. But if you have been to your GP and you have been diagnosed with migraines, but they've ruled out any complex medical condition. But they've also told you that, there's nothing they can do for you other than manage with pain medication, then this training is for you. Question 3, who is this training not suitable for? So I've mentioned if you're under 18, and I've mentioned that if you've got a complex medical condition which is currently under supervision, this is not for you right now. That doesn't mean that you can't come back to it in the future. It's not for you if you're pregnant or planning to be, and unfortunately it's not for you if you suffer from epilepsy as well, and that's due to some of the brain training that we do. It's advisable not for people with epilepsy. So if you're on the fence with that or not quite sure, that might be something that you want to speak with your GP about and get their permission first. So question 4, can you wait to buy? Yes, you can wait. This programme is going to be on my website. It's going to be up at the £2,500 price point, but I'm not sure yet when I'm next going to run it. So I don't have the next start date, but I will be running it at different times during the year. It won't be at this price again because this is really the first time run price, and I've explained the reasons for that. So if you're budget constrained and you need to buy at this price, this is a one-time opportunity, and again in the future we may or may not add in the bonuses that we've added this time. Okay, so if you like what you've heard today, now's the time to jump in. And don't procrastinate. If you're suffering with migraines, this is going to help you. The sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to start to see changes there. So, when does the programme start again? That was the next question. The first kick-off call is going to be next Tuesday. I'll actually release the materials next Monday with a kick-off call on the Tuesday, and that's the reason for the Sunday deadline. I need to know who's in so I can get all the everything set up for you. Okay, now, what if I can't make it live? All the calls are going to be recorded and all the resources will be available in the online learning platform. So if you can't make it live, and I appreciate life gets in the way, everything will be recorded. Question 7, does this program include any genetic or biomedical testing? So no, not in this program. In this program, I'm going to show you how you can use your own personal health knowledge with tools such as questionnaires that I'm going to share with you so that you can discover more about what you need to know and what you need to do without having that additional expense of health testing. However, if that is something that you are interested in, I know some people like that for their own confirmation, then I will give you the information on how to access that as a paid service, but it's not part of the actual training itself. It doesn't need to be. And then, does this include any supplements or food plans? Again, no. Supplements, the food plans are so personal to you. I'm going to share with you all the food plans, a recommendation of all supplements, but it will be through going through the exercises that I do with you that you'll discover which supplement or food plan or whatever comes under the 7 modules is safe, right and good for you. So on that basis, we can't do like a bulk standard supplement package for anybody because it just wouldn't work and you would waste your money in doing so. And it would probably double the cost of the programme when it doesn't need to. So again, I'm going to show you how to work with your body, find out what it actually needs. And we'll start with the nutrition and then we'll, build on that and accelerate it along with the recommended guidelines and what's in the research, etc. But again, if you do need a particular supplement, and there's definitely some which benefit migraine, etc., then I will show you who are the reputable suppliers. We can talk then about how you get the right dosage, how you get the right amount and the right supplements. Okay, but obviously the purchase is an additional personal cost to you. So question 9, does it include one-to-one coaching? So in this programme, we include the group coaching. That's part of the Friday afternoon call. And we do that is because if you have a question, no question is too silly to ask. If you're asking that question, then it's highly likely that somebody else is asking that question as well. And it's just not possible in a group setting to discuss or give, personal or private information. But the questions you will have, I can guarantee you everyone will benefit from that group facility. And that's one of the reasons that we've kept the prices so low. You know, there are no upsells in this program. There isn't a VIP offering for include your supplements here or health coaching here, etc. But again, if you do feel like you need some specialist resource on a one-to-one basis, then I will give you the option of how you can access that, but that would be in addition to the program. So we include the group coaching, but not personal. Okay, so question 10, what if I'm struggling with a migraine? So I've been there. Still join us. If you are lying in bed in a dark room, just plug your earphones in, especially on a Friday, because I'm going to do the live rewire. And I would definitely encourage you to do the headache technique. And now, I've said before, it's not going to prevent them, but for any of the stress-related migraines, it's going to help you reduce them. And then you've got more time. So don't allow the fact that you're struggling badly with migraines, don't allow that to put you off, because I'm going to get you through that process, and the resources you've got, especially in the bonuses, are going to help you with that. Okay, so question 11, what if I don't have enough time to do all the training and fall behind? So just to give you the sort of perspective on this, the training is approximately 2 hours on a Tuesday, depending on the content that we need to get through. And I will get you to do some of the work actually during the call. So even if you're listening in catch up, I'm still guiding you through that process. And then there may be some things I say, right, do this tomorrow, do this the next day. So we break it down into little bite-sized things that you can do so it doesn't become overwhelming. So and then we have the Q&A call on the Friday. Everything is recorded. The Q&A call is optional, so if you don't have any questions, you don't need to be there, but it's there to revert back to should that question come up in the future. So don't worry if you don't have enough time to do all the training. Don't worry if you fall behind. And also, we've got that bonus week 8, where that's the catch-up week. That's just to help everything fully embed before we finally say goodbye. So the last question that I've got to deal with here is, can I purchase this for somebody else? And what I'm going to say to that is no, sorry. This is for you. You know, if you've been listening to this webinar, you're either, yes, I want to do it, can't wait to sign up. Hell yes, this is for me. When do we start? Or it just hasn't resonated with you. And you can't get that emotion for somebody else if they haven't listened to what I've had to say, where I've shared my learnings, because you just don't know if it's going to resonate with them or not. You don't know where they are in their stage of life, etc. So they're not going to have the same motivations as someone like yourself who has listened to this, who's personally invested their time in listening to this. So by all means, please feel free to share this webinar with them so they can make their own decision. And if you do it quickly, they can also do it before Sunday to get the benefit of that as well. But please do not purchase this for somebody else. It's just not going to work without that emotional investment on their part. Okay, so before I say goodbye, take a deep breath. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you're here till the end, it really, really is wonderful to share this information that I've learned so I can give you hope that there is a better life ahead if you've been like me and suffering with migraine. So I just want to sort of restate what you need to do now. You need to follow this link here on the page and go to the cart and sign up. And when you do that, then everything else will fall into place and you'll get all the information for the kickoff call starting next week. So I hope you've got everything that you need to know. You understand everything that's included in the program. I also hope you've got a lot of benefit out of our time this evening. And, you know, if this isn't for you right now, I do wish you luck, because you still have that 7-step blueprint. That's something that you might choose to go and do on your own when the timing is right for you. But if this is a hell yes for you, I really do look forward to working with you on the other side. So again, the link is on the page one final time. So please do sign up. We've got the kickoff call next Tuesday, and I am really looking forward to seeing who signs up and who's ready to reduce those migraines. And I'll see you on the other side. So thank you so much for listening. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. Earlier, I mentioned I was going to cover a case study, and